Welcome to another edition of the Schmidt Storm. You've got questions, I've got answers. This has been an extraordinary week in the life of the United States. Political violence is rearing its head, as was long predicted on this channel. Let's get into the questions. What is the meaning of Charlie Kirk's death? It's a deep question, and I'm afraid I'm not the right person to answer it. I know three things. I know that life is precious, and I watched a young man's exterminated, obliterated on camera. And I know the reaction to it shows the rottenness and the sickness in our society. From people who cheered it to the president who used it as an opportunity to inflame a situation by pouring gasoline on it and assigning collective guilt, collective blame to every political opponent of his, demanding that the answer, the justice for Charlie Kirk, is that we give up our opposition to him. And his threats to come after political parties, institutions, everybody who dissents as enemies of the state because a murder was an act of collective murder is as sick as it gets. And it's very dangerous. You know, one of the things that Charlie Kirk said is that empathy is weakness.
I can't stand the word empathy. Actually, I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage.
Donald Trump has no empathy for him, for his family. He's incapable of it. But like a predator, he senses opportunity. And the opportunity he senses is about political power. Donald Trump is using this moment to try to take Charlie Kirk, turn him into a horsed vessel, a symbol of a faction that becomes, through mandate, a symbol of the state. The truth is, what Charlie Kirk stood for in life was un-American. He held to the proposition that some of us are more equal than others. He targeted some of the most vulnerable people and he bullied them. He scapegoated them. He spread lies and conspiracies, and that's what the public record is. A tragedy, when you murder somebody and you steal time, you steal their life for them, there's no opportunity for this young man to grow out of the nonsense that he believed. And don't let anybody tell you that this was a person who debated high ideas. He provoked mockery and bullying. He set up elaborate confrontations, carefully edited them, all of it designed to make the people who challenged him look like fools. He diminished debate. He didn't enhance it. And no, there shouldn't be a statue to him in the capital of the United States that was invaded and desecrated by a mob that he fully supported and that he stoked with lies and conspiracies. Next question is about what is happening in Venezuela in the military buildup. In the days leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination, I wrote about killing on 3 or 4 different occasions. And specifically, I talked about an exchange between a journalist named Ed Krasenstein and J.D. Vance. And Ed Krasenstein pointed out that without authority, without legal justification, without evidence, destroying a boat in international waters on the basis of an accusation alone is a war crime. And J.D. Vance delivered his assessment on that, his view of the worth of human life, by declaring, "I don't give a." Here was the Rand Paul response. There are not enough American forces to invade Venezuela, but there are more than enough to strike Venezuela. Donald Trump started deploying troops as the Epstein scandal drew closer and closer. This is real life Wag the Dog, where he's playing with the lives of America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. Donald Trump's biggest broken promise will be war. He promised peace, but we will have war. All fascists start wars, and Donald Trump is a fascist. And it's important to remember that maybe the best definition ever given of fascism was by Upton Sinclair, who said, it's capitalism plus murder. It was long ago prophesied, apocryphally attributed to an author named Sinclair Lewis, that when fascism came to America, it would be wrapped in the flag and carrying the cross. And for any person who doubts that, well, they haven't been paying much attention over the last 7 months, and they certainly haven't been paying attention to the Republican congressmen who look at the murder of a man on a college campus and say the response should be the elimination of free speech in America. Charlie Kirk said, the epidemic of school shootings was worth the price of the Second Amendment.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal.
He didn't deserve to die for that position, as appalling as I find it. But I also know that in his death, the price of that crime is to be paid by the man who did the crime, not Donald Trump's opponents. And there's no linkage, except for the fantasies in Donald Trump's sick head, between the suspension of our rights and a murder. And those rights, regardless of murder, are not at the disposal of MAGA's politicians, because in the American society, they come from a higher power, and it's not negotiable. The last question is about the economy. It's simply what's happening. The economy is seizing. It's like a person in cardiac arrest. The heartbeat is seized, stopped. Prices are going higher, crazy high. All of the vandalism, all of the madness, all of the lying, all of the bill is coming due. And what Trump has done will immiserate scores of tens of millions of Americans. The Trump economy has only one unanswered question. Will he create a depression worse than what happened in the 1930s? Or will he simply create a recession worse than the Great Recession? That's the open question. He's a vandal when it comes to our liberty. He's a vandal when it comes to our security. He's a vandal when it comes to our prosperity. He's a vandal when it comes to our decency, our society. He's the worst president in American history, and then some. He's a liar, an accused rapist, an abuser of women, a con man, a wannabe Mussolini, a demented Führer in waiting, boiling in his hatreds, seething in his contempt, dreaming of retribution and revenge. A man who is not supported by the people in this country, whose ambitions are falling apart, whose program is not succeeding, whose economy is collapsing, whose administration is a laughingstock all around the world. Donald Trump is a joke, and it's not a crime to say it. Not in America. And believing it and knowing it and saying it absolutely doesn't make anybody a co-conspirator in a murder. This is The Warning. I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning. I invite you to join this community where I promise to be honest, blunt, and direct about what is happening in this country. America is in crisis. Follow and subscribe to this channel and on Substack. Thank you.